Hello everyone and welcome to the Friday ONIT College Basketball Show. We've got plenty of tournament games to talk about on the women's side and a bunch of good men's games to look at as well here today. But before we begin, want to make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you enjoy the content, if you're getting hyped up for March Madness, definitely want to be subscribed because we are going to be covering all of our teams on their journey through men's and women's March Madness and their conference tournaments. We'll also tell you how you can get involved at the end of the episode by submitting your ONIT cards to a link in the description. So make sure you stick around for that as well if you want to be involved here on the ONIT Athlete YouTube channel. We'll start, as we always do, by taking a look at what's in our Friday basketball box.
What's in the box?
Our ONIT College Basketball Box features our locally sourced but nationally relevant headlines for all of our ONIT teams, including two new teams on the men's side that we're going to be talking about for the first time today and that you can pick up on the website at onitathlete.com. You can check out these two new basketball team releases that we'll get into later, and you can find a whole host of other winter sports, including hockey, wrestling, and gymnastics with some of our mixed sport boxes. So make sure you head on over to onitathlete.com. As we look at the men's and women's games this week, we'll take a look at our two best performers of the week, one man and one woman. And lastly, we'll finish it off with our players to watch going into the last of the regular season games and these very pivotal conference tournament matchups. We'll begin by taking a look at who made the grade here this week. This is Making the Grade, where we look at the best performances of the week. Today we're taking a look at our best men's performance and our best women's performance so far. We'll start out on the men's side, and today we are looking at UCLA's Trent Perry. A 72-52 massive upset victory for UCLA over number 9 Nebraska, and Perry was the one who spearheaded it. 20 points for him on 8 of 15 shooting, including 3 of 6 from three-point range. He also grabbed 7 rebounds and dished out 4 assists. He was second on the team in both rebounds and assists and led the team in scoring. In fact, he was one of just 2 players for UCLA that got above 10 points in this game, and he led UCLA to a massive win over Nebraska, outscoring them 37-24 in the first half alone before cruising to that 20-point victory and potentially securing UCLA's opportunity as an at-large. We've talked about them being up and down all season. They now have their third top 10 win of the year, and one of those wins was a top 5 win. So we'll see if UCLA gets into the tournament, but Trent Perry did everything he could to help them make it, and that's why he is our Gem Mint 10 performer this week. And our Gem Mint 10 performer on the women's side this week comes to us courtesy of Auburn, and that would be Katie Lee. In Auburn's 50-49 stunning upset victory over Texas A&M in the first round of the SEC tournament, she was the biggest factor in the win for the Tigers. She had 11 points on 4 of 11 shooting, but pulled down 15 rebounds to have herself a double-double, while also getting 4 assists, a steal, and a block. And she made the game-winning layup as Auburn was trailing 49-48 in the final seconds. Her layup gave the Tigers the 50-49 victory. For the double-double, the game-winning layup, and helping the Tigers pull off an upset over a Texas A&M team that was surging coming into this game, Katie Lee is our Women's Gem Mint 10 this week. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments below, and we'll take a look at the men's games coming to us this weekend. We're coming to an end on the regular season for the men's teams, and here's what they are getting into. We'll start off with number 3, Michigan, beating Iowa 71-68 on the road, 28-2 on the year, a Big Ten regular season title all but wrapped up, and they will finish the year at home against number 8 Michigan State. Another opportunity for Michigan to get a top 10 win on the season. They have blown the doors off some of these high-ranked opponents this year that they faced, especially in the early part of the season. If they beat Michigan State handedly in this rivalry matchup, Michigan will be all but assured a number 1 seed, regardless of what happens to them in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. For UConn, we've talked about them. They haven't played since they had that time off. They're finally getting back to the court at Marquette. This is their pivotal game. A win here secures them the Big East regular season championship. A loss and a St. John's win means that the Red Hawks would steal that title out from under UConn's nose. So they have to beat Marquette unless St. John's loses. So they do have two scenarios to clinch. They win is a clinch regardless. They lose and St. John's loses is a clinch. They lose and St. John's win. They do not be Big East regular season champions. So those are the three scenarios on the board for number 4 UConn here as they go into that matchup against Marquette. Next up, we have number 12 Gonzaga, still awaiting to find out their opponent as they kick off the WCC Conference Tournament on the 9th. The men's teams are playing right now in that WCC tournament. Gonzaga gets a bye all the way through to the semifinals. I double-checked the bracket. So them and St. Mary's as co-champions are already in the semifinals. It will take one win for Gonzaga to get to the WCC championship game, where they will more than likely play St. Mary's once again, depending on what happens. So Gonzaga is just in a wait-and-see approach, but they'll be back on the court in 3 days here on the 9th. Then taking a look at number 15, Purdue, a win over Northwestern, 70-66. Helps the Boilermakers out as they go into probably the toughest game here that you could ask against a non-ranked opponent. They will get a Wisconsin team that has been a giant killer all year long. Wisconsin has just found ways to beat top 25 teams throughout the year, and Purdue is at home in this game, but it's not going to be easy to get past this Wisconsin team who has had the number of top 25 teams on the year. So Purdue's got to be careful here. Another loss could knock them even further down the seed line as they've stumbled here at 23-7, specifically with a lot of these losses coming over the last month. So Purdue is going to have to be ultra vigilant in that game, and the same can be said for Nebraska. Number 9, Nebraska, a shocking loss at UCLA, 72-52. Now they are at home against Iowa, a team that just lost by 3 points against Michigan. Iowa has given team trouble all year. They are just a really scrappy team. They are hard to break down. They're hard to score on. So Nebraska has to be very careful here, especially after losing to UCLA. That probably knocked them out of 1-seed contention. If they lose to Iowa, it might knock them out of 2-seed contention in the NCAA tournament. So this is a must-have game in my eyes for Nebraska if they want to hold on to a top 2 seed potentially here going into the NCAA tournament. Then we'll take our first look at one of our brand new ONIT releases that you can check out on the website, onitathlete.com, and you can get yourself some Kansas Jayhawks men's basketball cards. Yes, number 14, Kansas, joining the ONIT lineup late here in the season. They're 21-9 after suffering a shock loss at Arizona State, 70-60. Definitely didn't see that coming for Kansas, who's had a really good season. They will take on Kansas State in an in-state rivalry matchup there in the Sunflower State. That one is coming to us tomorrow on the 7th. Kansas obviously wants to bounce back, get right going into this Big 12 tournament, where they are going to have tough tests in the form of Iowa State and Arizona that they're going to have to try to get through if they want to be the automatic qualifier for the Big 12. So Kansas trying to pick up this win against Kansas State, and then they'll have a lot of work to do in that Big 12 tournament that we'll talk about more on Tuesday. Up next, we have number 20, Arkansas, our first of the timeless-only schools. You can get a subscription to Arkansas at onitathlete.com, where you will get packs from a variety of different winter sports and some fall sports as well. So check that out. We have a whole page dedicated to Timeless on the website, onitathlete.com. They're 22-8, beat Texas down 105-85. A lot of offense to go around for the Pigs in that game. And they will end their season at Missouri, team that has not been much of a threat to anybody this year. So Arkansas might be able to slide on into the SEC tournament here, where they are going to have a lot of teams to worry about, including another new addition to the ONIT family here late in the season. That would be number 23, Tennessee, as they join the men's basketball lineup here. And you can find their brand new card release once again on the website, onitathlete.com. Tennessee is 21-9, just won at South Carolina, 78-59, and they're ending their season at home in Knoxville against number 24 Vanderbilt. Another in-state rivalry battle coming our way, number 23 versus number 24. Tennessee is another team that definitely has a shot at winning that SEC tournament. Florida is by far the favorite based on how they've ended the year, but Tennessee, Arkansas, are going to be battling it out there as well to try and steal some wins in that tournament, and a couple other SEC teams that we'll talk about here when we dive deeper into our timeless schools. But glad to have Tennessee join the lineup, and we'll see if they can get past Vanderbilt tomorrow on Saturday. Next up, we have Ohio State. Another win for them, 94-62 at Penn State. They will play Indiana at home to finish their season. The Buckeyes are teetering on the verge of the bubble right now. They have quality wins. They have some close losses. Their quad record looks pretty solid, but I still think that for them, the Big Ten tournament is going to be just so important. They've got to string together at least a couple of wins if they are going to get into that NCAA tournament. They might leave some doubt if they go out in the first round, and if they lose to Indiana here, there will be a lot of doubt surrounding Ohio State, and they'll have to go on a run. So getting past Indiana is very important. They cannot look past this game. The Buckeyes need this one in a big way. And for UCLA, again, who the heck is this team? I still don't know who they are. They're 20-10. Clearly, they're pretty good at basketball. They just beat number 9 Nebraska 72-52. They'll blow out a ranked team. They'll beat a ranked team close. They'll get blown out by a ranked team. I have no idea how to categorize this UCLA team. If they make it into the NCAA tournament and they won the whole thing, I wouldn't be shocked. If they make it into the NCAA tournament and lose by 30 in the first round, I also wouldn't be shocked. I just have no clue what to expect every time this team steps on the basketball court. And they'll play at USC on the 7th. Obviously, USC is going through some issues of their own in terms of players, and so UCLA is a little bit less fragile right now than their crosstown rival. So we'll see if UCLA can get the job done and then head into the Big Ten tournament on a little bit of a winning streak and cause some havoc there. They could win the Big Ten tournament. Will they do it? I don't know. Could they? Yeah, definitely. I think Michigan's probably the only team that they don't have the blueprint to beat right now, but this team, just every time I see them, I have no idea what to think clearly. So we'll see if they can get past USC. Wouldn't surprise me if they lost that game either, and then ended up going to the Big Ten tournament on a loss. Either way, I digress. Let's talk about Auburn, 16-14, just beat LSU 88-74. They are at number 16 Alabama to end their regular season. This is a very tough game for Auburn. It's a must-win game for Auburn at 16-14. The way that they've had some of these losses this year and not a bunch of quality wins, I don't think that they are a NCAA tournament team at the moment. But a win over Alabama and some upsets in the SEC tournament could flip that narrative on its head. It starts though at Alabama. I think if they lose this game, regardless of what happens for them in the SEC conference tournament, I think they're donezo unless they win the whole thing. So winning at Alabama would definitely earn some goodwill with the committee. So it's got to start there tomorrow in Tuscaloosa. Then another one of our timeless only teams, Penn State, just mentioned they lost against Ohio State by nearly 30. They'll finish their season at Rutgers. Definitely a winnable game for Penn State, who's scrapped and struggled their way through the Big Ten conference schedule this season. They're kind of right on the bubble of making the Big Ten tournament. If they win against Rutgers, they have a decent chance to make it in as one of the last 2 seeds in the tournament. So a win is imperative for Penn State. Otherwise, their season might be ending earlier than they hope with no Big Ten conference tournament appearance. Then our 2 Texas schools out of the SEC, both timeless only squads, starting with Texas, 18-12. Mentioned that loss at Arkansas, 105-88. They get Oklahoma at home to end the season. Texas is 18-12. A win here, win in the SEC tournament. You get to 20 wins. Not sure, again, for Texas, if they can make it in. We have so many teams who are on the verge that if they don't make it, they'll probably be like number 1 or number 2 seeds in the NIT. But Texas is definitely one of those teams that's fighting bubble watch, and every win that they can get helps them out massively, especially compared to some of these other teams that feel pretty confident about where they are. Texas A&M is almost the same story. They just beat Kentucky 96-85. They'll go to LSU to end the year. They already have 20 wins. They're 20-10. They've lost a lot of games recently to ranked opponents, so they don't have those quad 1 and 2 victories that the committee would like to see, but quad 1 and 2 losses certainly help out because the committee do value playing those difficult opponents, and this SEC schedule has been monstrous this year. So Texas A&M, a win at LSU, gets to 21 wins, 2 wins maybe in the SEC tournament. Do they go to the first 4 in Dayton? It's hard to say. There's a lot of deserving teams this year, I think. There's a lot of undeserving teams, too, that are just kind of like sitting right on the bubble. They probably don't really deserve to get in. So Texas A&M is definitely going to be at the mercy of the committee unless they pull off some type of run in the SEC tournament. And our last team is West Virginia. Lost by 2 points at Kansas State, now 17-13 on the year. They go back home to take on UCF as their final tune-up before the Big 12 tournament. They lost on the road at UCF just a couple of weeks ago. They're going to try to exact some revenge. And then for West Virginia, that Big 12 tournament is going to be very difficult. We mentioned how Kansas has to get through Iowa State and potentially Arizona, while West Virginia's got to get through Kansas, Iowa State, and potentially Arizona if they make it that far. Arizona State's having a bit of a resurgence right now, too. TCU has been playing really well, so there are a lot of teams to look out for in the Big 12 tournament, and the Mountaineers are going to have to put their steps very carefully and just kind of build their way up through that tournament if they want a chance to make the NCAA tournament. So wins are in order for West Virginia. They need them. It's a similar story for a lot of our men's teams. And on the other side, for the women, we're going to talk about our teams that are still left in their respective conference tournaments that are happening right now. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at our women's games this weekend. We don't have a ton of them because a lot of our teams have been eliminated already from their tournaments. We'll take a look at those teams first. Auburn, Arkansas, Penn State, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Tennessee, and USC all got eliminated either on Wednesday or Thursday. Auburn went down to Ole Miss, Arkansas to Kentucky, Penn State lost to Indiana, Texas A&M lost to Auburn in a shocking upset, Nebraska losing to Indiana as well, Tennessee losing to Alabama, and then USC losing to Washington. Pretty much none of these teams are going to make the NCAA tournament due to their records and losing in the first round of their conference tournaments, but we'll see if they get into maybe one of the NIT type tournaments or maybe a step below that. So our women's teams that are still playing, we'll start off with number 1 UConn. We still don't know who they are going to play tomorrow. It'll be the result of the Big East games today in the tournament. UConn has been waiting patiently to find out who they are going to play, and they're going to have to wait a little bit longer. For UCLA, they know their opponent. They're taking on Washington today. By the time this video comes out, that game might already be over or it might be in the late stages. So we'll know if UCLA advanced by the time this video comes out today. They play at noon here on this Friday. Then South Carolina is taking on number 17, Kentucky. They've had no problems with Kentucky in the regular season. Would be kind of surprised if they have any problems here. South Carolina's also been biding their time, but they're finally going to get in action on the court today. Same thing with Texas. They've been waiting around after beating Alabama to end the regular season. They get another rematch with Alabama. They just beat them 72-65 on the road when Alabama was ranked number 24 in the country. Alabama is no longer ranked as Texas takes them on today. We'll see if the Longhorns can get through the Crimson Tide yet again. Then back to the Big Ten tournament, we have number 8, Michigan. They beat number 14, Maryland, to end their regular season, while Oregon just upset Maryland in the Big Ten tournament. And the Ducks, who have won 2 games in a row, are coming into this game against number 8, Michigan. The Ducks are tired. They've played 2 really tough games so far. This is an opportunity for Michigan to get a team that wasn't really supposed to be here and might potentially be out of gas now, especially after that big win last night over Maryland. So Michigan hopefully should have a little bit of an easier path towards their march to the Big Ten championship. And then for Ohio State, they did not get any rest here, really. They beat Indiana yesterday, 83-59. in their first round matchup, which came in the second round. Now, here in the quarterfinals, they have number 19 Minnesota. This is a tough game for Ohio State. Minnesota is a team that gave them trouble in the regular season, so can Ohio State bounce back from that and find a way to get past the Golden Gophers, who really surged in the second half of the season? Or will Ohio State fall victim to an upset here in the Big Ten tournament? That is the question for the Buckeyes, and those are all the women's games we have here this weekend. So today and tomorrow, of course, if these teams who are playing today win, they'll be playing throughout the rest of the weekend. So keep an eye on them if you're a fan of UCLA, South Carolina, Texas, Michigan, Ohio State, any of these teams playing today, because victory for them means that they will be back as the women's tournament continues to roll on throughout the weekend. And we'll cover all the results on Tuesday once we know who our champions are or who is playing in their conference championship. Now let's take a look at our players to watch for the weekend, because we've got important games in both the men's and women's side. It's that time again. You know what it is. Our players to watch going into the last weekend of the men's regular season, and with women's tournament games already underway. Let's kick it off in the number one spot. We've got Alex Karaban for UConn as they try and go win a Big East title against Marquette. He's the guy I have my eyes on to get it done. Helped them beat Seton Hall last week, and I'm expecting Karaban to play a huge part in whether or not UConn holds on to this Big East regular season title. Our first women's performer is Olivia Olson from Michigan. Watching her over this season has just been incredible. A fantastic player, leads her team nearly every game in the scoring department, and I don't expect much different for her going into Michigan's first matchup here in the Big Ten tournament today. Then we have Jacob Gillespie from Tennessee, one of the new additions we talked about earlier on the men's side. Gillespie is the leading scorer for this Tennessee team that is number 23 in the country going into this week. Definitely a lot of pressure on them as they head into the SEC tournament. Florida has run away with the regular season title, but Tennessee is a team that could make a splash right there alongside Arkansas when it comes to this tournament. And who is going to be the automatic qualifier out of the SEC? Jacob Gillespie is going to have to play well for Tennessee to make that dream a reality. Then we have Azzi Fudd for UConn. Don't expect a lot of trouble here for UConn in the Big East women's tournament, but Azzi Fudd has been a player that has shown through all year long, whether it's been against conference opponents or it's been against some of the best teams in the country. Azzi Fudd, steady as a rock, and I think she is going to lead UConn to a Big East women's title. Then Yaxel Lendenborg for Michigan. Michigan's got that Big Ten regular season title on lock. Can they defend it in their conference tournament? Yax is going to be a key reason why they can. He is one of the most important players in the country this year, and what he has done for this Michigan team, not only on the offensive side, but with the rebounding and the great defense that he plays, will be an imperative reason that Michigan needs him to play well if they're going to win the Big Ten tournament and defend their regular season crown. So keeping my eyes on him, and I'm keeping my eyes on Joyce Edwards from South Carolina. One of the best players in the country, even in just her sophomore season. The step up that she took this year was incredible, going from her freshman numbers to her sophomore numbers, and I only expect her to buckle down even more as these games get tighter, as South Carolina plays difficult opposition throughout this SEC tournament and going into the NCAA tournament. Joyce Edwards is certainly the player for South Carolina that I think will have the biggest impact on the Gamecocks down the stretch here. Then we're looking at Flore Bedunga from Kansas. Again, another one of those new men's teams that we took a look at earlier. They're up on the website now at onitathlete.com. Bedunga, one of the best scorers for Kansas, the best rebounder, and shooting nearly 70% from the floor this year. That makes a trio of great things that he does for this Jayhawks team. And as Kansas heads into that Big 12 tournament, trying to maybe take the torch away from Arizona, who held the number one spot for so long this year, I think it's going to be up to Bedunga and some of the supporting cast if Kansas wants to topple the Wildcats and come out as the Big 12's champion in the tournament. Then we're looking at Madison Booker from Texas. If Texas wants to win the SEC tournament, they're going to have to go through South Carolina, and Madison Booker is a matchup nightmare for the Gamecocks. She does so many things well from the forward position that she can be really hard to get a grip on, and Texas was able to beat South Carolina one time earlier this year in a non-conference meeting between these two SEC foes. If they match up in the championship of the SEC tournament, I think it'll be Madison Booker versus Joyce Edwards on who can carry their team to the crown. Then we're taking a look at Braden Smith for Purdue, the Boilermakers, king of the assist. He is going to be one of the most important players on the court in any of these upcoming Big Ten tournament games for Purdue. He is just so smart with the basketball, really knows when to take his shots as well. And if Purdue is going to find their way into the championship, and if they could slither past Michigan, Nebraska, or some of these other really good Big Ten squads that stand in their way, Braden Smith is going to have to play his best games of the season all in a row. Lastly, we're taking a look at Jelani Cambridge from Ohio State. Ohio State needs some big offensive performances to keep up with some of these incredible Big Ten teams like Michigan, like UCLA, and Jelani Cambridge is the woman to do that. She's had multiple 30-point games this year. She leads her team in scoring over the course of the season, and if Ohio State is going to pull off upsets and come out of this tournament as Big Ten champion, Jelani Cambridge is going to be their most important player to get that done. Those are the 10 players I'm watching this weekend. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below, as we are out of time here on this episode. Hope you enjoyed watching. We do appreciate you hanging out here and enjoying some college basketball coverage with us. If you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we cover all college sports here at ONIT. We're going to talk a little bit of wrestling and some baseball coming up here very shortly, maybe even some gymnastics coverage on the near horizon. So stay tuned for that. If you do like any of those sports, do hit that subscribe button and you will be the first to hear about them when our new episodes drop here at ONIT. You can also get involved with our YouTube channel by submitting your hits to the link down below. Send in those great ONIT polls, whether it is wrestling, hockey, gymnastics, basketball, or the upcoming baseball and softball releases if you're waiting for those. You can submit your hits at the link down below. We'll share them here with the community on YouTube. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoy your Friday and have fun watching college basketball as we have reached March.